Right. So we have to discuss about assignment discussion. Okay. So I will again welcome everyone in today's session, and which is on safeguarding in health and social work. And we will also do a quick recap uh, of the past lectures which we did. So, uh, like if we are asked like what is safeguarding, so because the unit is based on the safeguarding in health and social care context. So, in easy words, we can say that it's about protecting people's health, well-being, and human rights. So, what safeguarding does is it ensures that vulnerable people are protected from harm, abuse, and neglect. Because like it's based on the assignment discussion. So, for example, uh, why do we think that this is particularly important in health and social work setting? If there's some question like that, so why it is important? So, because these settings are often involve care for vulnerable individual who might not be able to protect themselves. So, because this is an assignment discussion, so we will make some questions and we'll try to answer it so that we will have a better understanding of how do we have to give the answers, or what are the main concepts or main points in this unit. So uh, now, as I asked, like um, for example, um, safeguarding, what it does, it ensures that vulnerable people are protected from harm, abuse, and neglect. Why only in health and social care is it important? No, it's not only important in health and social care, it's important in every sector of the life and any organization you work with. And especially if we talk about uh, health and social care setting, then we'll say that because these setting often involves care for vulnerable individuals who might not be able to protect themselves, because mostly our service users are vulnerable, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, or any form of any kind of disability or any help or support they need in. So mostly we have those who are in need, those who are vulnerable. So that's why, like in health and social care, we have more responsibilities towards safeguarding others. But in general, it's not only for health and social care sector; it's for all of us to protect ourselves and anyone around us. Those in health and social work have a duty to protect the individuals they care for, and for example, the principles of safeguarding. If you move to the next point, so what are the principles of safeguarding? So, for example, one key principle is empowerment. So, what does empowerment mean in this context? So, it means giving people the information and support they need to make their own decisions and giving them control over their lives. What empowering individual does, it's empowers the individual, and it is very crucial for an individual. So another principle was partnership. So why partnership is important in safeguarding? So it's about working together with other professionals and agencies to better protect vulnerable people. So effective safeguarding comes from a strong collaboration. We have multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary teams, like for example, GPs, nurses, police, they all work together, or social workers, they all work together for the betterment of a service user. So, in health and social care, Um, and this is very important. Like team working is very important. Then we have accountability as well. So um, accountability means being answerable for how they handle their safeguarding responsibilities. Whatever we do, we need to be answerable and accountable for that. Being accountable means transparency in actions and ensuring high standards of practice. So we have to like always be transparent in our actions. So that is necessary in our health and social care profession. Then, for example, if we say that if I ask any one of you, like uh, if you have to think about a scenario or a role play. So, for example, imagine if any one of you are a social worker who notices a colleague not following proper safeguarding procedures. What would you do in that case? Any reply from any student? Like if we see anyone at our workplace who's not following the proper safeguarding procedure, what should we do?
You can raise a con.
Sorry, can you repeat it, please?
I said we can raise a con.
Yes, we will raise a concern and we will report it to the supervisor, and we may like document it if
Yeah,
there's
we have
some.
to document it.
Yes, correct, correct. Excellent. So it is important to act and not ignore such incidents. And thank you for your answer. So
Okay.
now, for example, uh, we need to discuss about the practical aspects of our course by discussing an assignment. So, for example, if we have a task that is to evaluate health and social care facility on its safeguarding practices. So, uh, what would be the some key areas we will include? For example, like we have to imagine or we have to think like we have to evaluate. The command verb is here, the command verb is here, evaluate, and a health and social care in a health and social care facility and honest safeguarding practices. So we would look at how they train their staff on safeguarding policies. One area could be training. So training is fundamental because, and for example, we will also check for, as we discussed earlier, that reporting and responding to abuse or neglect is very important. Or in case we find any colleague who is not following safeguarding requirements properly, then what we do, we report it, we raise the concern, we inform the manager, we fill out the proper documentation. So that will like enhance the service user um, um, quality of service, and also it helps in the safeguarding. So we will also check that every organization and the workers they are working, all the employees, that they have clear understanding of the procedures, and if they have some procedures in file format, there are some policies that could be on the websites, but there are some paper documents as well. So the documents or the file are accessible by the employees. That is also important. And because ensuring that procedures are not only in place, but also effective and followed by all. So, for example, if in assignment, mm, there is a scenario that you need to interview staff and clients. So, what kind of question would you ask them to assess the effectiveness of safeguarding measures? So, we may ask staff how they would handle a suspected case of abuse, and for service user, maybe how safe they feel in the facility, something like that. So we need to understand both the theoretical and practical application from all perspective, and really highlight the effectiveness of safeguard. Then for the written part of your assignment, and uh, we need to like what sort of um, recommendation could be valuable in safeguarding. So uh, it could be recommending regular reviews of safeguarding policies or enhanced training session that include scenario and role playing. So, um, because these ongoing training and policy reviews are essential for adapting to new challenges and ensuring continuous improvement. Client improvement uh, and client involvement is very important in safeguarding. Why? Like safeguarding, and also, for example, if we are making a care plan, or if we are dealing with service user, so if we include the service user in the care plan, so what would be the benefits in it? Their family members should be involved, so we could be able to help the service user more. So, for example, in if we are talking about safeguarding, so involving service user can make the policies more relevant and tailored to their actual need. It also empowers them, which is one of the principles of safeguarding. So both thing will income, like the empowerment, and also uh, the prince that we will improve the safeguarding as well. Their personal choices, their identity, everything would be considered. So that's why it's very important. So for example, if we say that how do we summarize the importance of safeguarding in health and social work? So we would say that safeguarding is vital because it upholds the dignity and rights of vulnerable individuals, ensuring they live free from harm and abuse. So uh, we need to remember to use specific examples, and we need to cite and give references to relevant laws or guidelines to support our analysis and recommendation. What it will do, this will not only strengthen our argument, but also shows a deep understanding of the subject matter. So we always need to provide the in-text citation and the references if we are taking a content from somewhere else, and we need to give the proper credit to the original author. So, okay, in the next slide, we have to discuss about the mm, assignment title, right? So, we are focusing on our assignment, and we have to use the case study. So, in that one, for example, we need to evaluate. Again, the command verb or is evaluate. So, uh, evaluate the extent to which Andrew is at risk, and in what ways practitioner and agency should be involved in safeguarding Andrew. So, how do we answer it? So, we will break down always whenever we have a question which we need to give answer, we will first always check the command verb, and after that we need to check for the important keywords. Every uh, assessment criteria, whether it's for learning outcome 1, 2, 3, 4, we have different sets of questions. So in those questions, we will have some important points, important keywords which we need to consider, and then we need to answer. And if we miss any of the important keywords, then we won't be able to get a pass grade. So it's necessary that we will first complete the passing criteria, then we will go for the merit, and then we'll go for the distinction. We won't directly go for distinction level work and we'll say that uh, and now I have attempted the uh, distinction criteria, and now I will achieve everything like the pass or the merit or and distinction because I have attempted distinction. No, that's not right. We have to go in a sequence. We always have to first achieve the passing grade, then the merit, then the distinction. So whenever we are answering the questions, make sure that we always work on the first passing criteria, then we will go for the merit, then we will go for the distinction criteria. So now we were discussing about this one scenario. So we need to break down the assignment into manageable parts. What aspects of end-use situation will we assess to determine his risk level? So we would start by identifying any specific vulnerabilities Andrew has. For example, age or any health condition, disability or mental health issues. So we need to understand his vulnerabilities. What it will do, it will help us assess how at risk he is. Now, for example, uh, we need to think about the signs of abuse or neglect. So what are some signs that might indicate that Andrew is at risk? So there could be signs like we need to always look for the sign if we are at a care facility, if we are providing care services to any service user, we always look for the signs for harm or abuse. So the signs could be the sign could include, for example, physical injuries that don't match the given explanation and certain changes in behavior or fear of any specific individual because mostly our service users are vulnerable, so they may fear from some specific individual whether we are dealing with a child or an adult. So these signs can indicate potential problems. Now, evaluating the extent of risks involves not just identifying signs, but also understand the context, what environment or social factors should we consider. So we always look for the, like for example, in Andrew's case, we will look for his living condition, the people he interacts with daily, and whether he has a supportive network or not. All these factors play into his overall safety and well-being. We always also look for the network, supportive network, if someone has a supportive network or not. In health and social care or in social work, we always look for the supportive network as well. So for example, uh, if Andrew has support network as well, so what we will do is we will uh, take into consideration that, for example, he has uh, his brother or sister or parents or anyone like who's in his network and they are um, helping with him with any daily life activity, then we will consider it as well. So now what we can discuss it, for example, uh, okay, when we discuss about the signs and factors like uh, the people he interacts with daily and whether he has a supportive network or not. So after that, we will, um, as a practitioner, for example. How should practitioners and agencies should be involved in safeguarding NREO? What would be the first step? For example, we are practitioner and we have team working, multidisciplinary team working together. So what would be the first step, for example? So the first step should be a thorough assessment conducted by a social worker, possibly involving interview with Andrew, his family, and others close to him. So whenever we are making a care plan in a care setting, or if we are doing the assessment for uh, any services or help could be provided to a service user, what we do is we do a thorough assessment. So sometimes the assessments are done by the social worker, and for example, in our care home, uh, if it's a residential care home, so what we do is the manager, the nurse, they do the assessment and then they'll make the care plan according to the needs of the service user. They will include the family members also in that. They will ask the individual what their choices are and things to get a proper understanding of the needs of the service user. So gathering comprehensive information is really important. And once the assessment is complete, what role should different agencies play? So depending on the findings, health professional might need to be involved for medical care, mental health expert for psychological support, and enforcement if there is any indication of criminal activity. A multidisciplinary approach is crucial. Each agency or team brings a different expertise, ensuring a holistic response to safeguard Andrew or anyone. Now, if we imagine that we are drafting your assignment, how would you argue the importance of coordinated efforts among different practitioners and agencies? So we would argue that coordinated efforts prevent overlaps and gaps in services, ensuring that all aspects of end use welfare are covered comprehensively and effectively. Then why we do that? Coordinated efforts optimize resources and ensure that every aspects of end use situation is addressed. Now, if we focus on how to structure your assignment effectively, uh, so we will discuss on that. So now we have some important points. Take a look on read carefully. Okay. So for example, uh, how we will structure our assignment. So we need to remember the presentation and quality of our work are just as important as content. So what's the first thing you should do before starting to write? What we need to do is we need to read the case study carefully to understand all the details. As I mentioned earlier, we will look for the command verbs, we will look for the important keywords, and then we will try to answer it according to the command verb and the important keywords. A thorough understanding of case study is crucial. Now, after reading, what's the next step in beginning our report or assignment? So we will write an introduction that outlines what the case study is about and what the report will cover. The introduction sets the stage. It should provide background and state the purpose of our analysis. Then what about the structure of report? How can we make it reader friendly and professional? We can use clear headings and subheadings, and maybe also include figures and tables where necessary. We need to number them properly. If we are giving some uh, images, though we also need to do the in-text citation for it. We need to source it. We need to again give the citation. and we need to organize the report with heading and subheading. What it does, it it not only uh, looks good but also help the reader follow the assignment, or the tutor who is marking your assignment, whether it's anyone from the college or any outside um, organization like the awarding body, anyone who's reading, so they will it will be easy for them to help and understand what you are talking about, which like criteria are you talking about. And then, for example, uh, we also need to use, for example, uh, what also we will say into it, um, for example, references. So multiple references we will use. Multiple references show that we have researched the topic well. What references would do? They add credibility to our points. So here, as they have mentioned that um, ensure at least 12 to 15 references we should give, and they say that referencing should be in Harvard style. Yes, um, the referencing should be in Harvard style, and we can use different websites to make the uh, references in Harvard style as well. So we don't exactly need to remember everything how we do the Harvard referencing style. Now, for example, we have mybib.com, we have cite this for me, so we can create the Harvard referencing there. We just need to make sure that the uh, that we have selected the Harvard style, because those websites have so many options of different citation styles. So we need to make sure that we have selected the Harvard referencing style. Then, for example, mm, we need to keep a check on word count plus minus 20% tolerance limit. So now, like in universities, mostly they have 10% of plus minus tolerance. Sometime some colleges they say that the tolerance is about um 30%. So in our case, it's about, for example, 20%. So we need to keep track of our word count. The limit is 3,500 words, and with a tolerance of plus minus of 20%. So uh, then word limit, and remember this unit is graded, which means you can differentiate your work from other. Okay. So uh, we always need to differentiate our work from others. Like in this, we can say that we should always consider for the plagiarism and also collusion. So these are two important bits we need to check in our work, that we don't copy it from anyone else. And sometime like it could happen by mistake, that if we are working in a group and doing a task, and uh, we by mistake we copy other work or something like that. We don't do such silly mistakes. We always try to keep our work to ourselves, and if we are doing in a group, that make to we always need to make sure that we have our work, and if we share a idea, then we all need to uh, write it in our own words, and we will give the proper citation, in-text citation, and the reference in the end as well. So then, uh, what else we can discuss in that? I think we need to, we could include original um, analysis, maybe compare with similar case studies, and we can offer some unique solutions. Originality and depth of analysis can really set our work apart, and we always aim to provide insightful evaluation and not just description. That is again important point. So we always not provide the descriptions only. We need to provide the evaluations as well. And I think these are the important bits for this slide. Mm, then, okay, here we have to discuss about the student declaration. So uh, this is again a crucial component, and which is the student declaration. This declaration is your commitment to honesty and integrity in your academic work. So why declaration is important? It's important because it shows that we are committed to doing our work and not plagiarizing. It's about upholding the principles of academic integrity, and let's break down some of the key points of the declaration. So for example, first it states that the assignment is your own work. And what does it mean in practice? So it means that everything you have submitted is written by yourself without copying from someone else's work or letting someone else write parts of it. The second part mentions that all sources of information are accurately referenced. So, as I said earlier, that we need to give proper credit to the author or the researchers who did the research or wrote the content. So, it's necessary to give credit to the original authors of the idea or data we use. It allows anyone reading our work to trace the sources we have used. And we also need to acknowledge direct quotations. So if we are using some direct quotation, we always need to uh, source them as well. And what else? And when we are using direct quotations, so what we'll do is we will cite the source right after the quote. And in that we also do the inverted commas. We also use the inverted commas as well. And by using quotation mark and citing the source right after the quote, uh, and we need to include the page number if it's from a printed source as well. And for example, now we have to discuss about the bibliography. Okay, so what should be included in bibliography? So it should list all the books, article, website, and any other sources we use to gather information for our assignment. And we need to ensure all our sources are listed as part of the integrity of our work. And then finally, the declaration mentions a specific policy documentation or malpractice. Uh, so why it is important to understand this document? Understanding it helps us know what count as malpractice and the consequences if we don't follow rules. If we have used, for example, plagiarized work or AI, something like that, then we will be in trouble. So we always uh, have to be aware of and adhering to the ethical guidelines set by our academic institution. And we always need to ensure we have attached the required bibliography and added the accurate word count at the end of our document. This not only shows our diligence, but also ensures transparency in our academic efforts. Any questions, student, up till now? If there's any confusion, you can ask me. Now they are asking to discuss about case study. So what is a case study? Okay, so we will learn about case studies and case studies mm, are crucial research method that we will often use or encounter in various academic and professional fields. So, uh, what includes in a case study? It's an in-depth study of a specific person, group, or even to understand more about it through various data sources. Um, A case study provides a detailed and complex picture of the subject being studied. It allows us to explore dimensions that are not always accessible with other research methods. So now suppose if you are assigned a case study in class and what are the first steps we should take? Uh, First step, we should thoroughly read the case study assignment to understand what's specifically being asked. As we discussed earlier, that we always need to read the assignment brief properly. When understanding the assignment's requirement is crucial, and after that, what should our next step be in terms of gathering information? We need to collect data, which could involve looking up previous research, conducting interviews, or observing the subject if possible. If we are doing a primary research, then but mostly we are doing the research, secondary research. So gathering diverse sources of data, it ensures a comprehensive understanding of the case. And then what about the analysis? So what does analyzing a case study involve? Uh, it means identifying patterns or themes in the data and figuring out how they help answer the research question or solve the problem. Analysis, where you dig deep into the data to draw out meaningful insight. So this is the important bit of analyzing a data. And after an analysis, what's an important and final step in presenting our case study? So we should organize our findings into a clear report using headings and subheadings and discuss how our findings answer the research questions or address the problem outlined in the case study. When we present our finding clearly and systematically, it is like a key to a successful case study report. And again, finally, we always need to ensure that we cite our sources correctly. Um, it it gives credit to the original author and allow other to follow up on the research and verify the data. So the tutors would or the marker they could verify it by clicking on the links which you have provided and in the references, and we'll know exactly by the in-text citation um, from where you have got this information and you have rewritten it in your own words. So citation uphold academic integrity and contribute to the research community. Uh, and and we need to remember that each step in handling a case study, from understanding the assignment and collecting data to analyzing finding and reporting, is crucial to the depth and quality of our research. And these are the important point. Then some steps to help you approach it. Okay. So what we did was we have identified the first few steps to approaching a case study and reading the case study carefully, defining the problem and conducting research. What would be the other step in this process? So next, we should analyze the data we have gathered to see how it relates to the problem we have identified. Uh, and this involves looking for pattern, identifying trends, and making connection between the data and the problem we have outlined. Then, uh, how do we present our findings? So we should organize the information logically, perhaps in a chronological order or by importance, and present it in a clear and structured format. Presenting our finding clearly is very crucial. This brings us to the next step. Once we have organized our finding, what would be the next step? We need to propose solution or recommendation based on our analysis. So this step is to develop solution or recommendation. These should address the key issues we have identified and be grounded in the data we have analyzed. And how can we ensure these recommendations are practical and relevant? Uh, Maybe considering the context of the case and any constraint like budget, time, or resources that could affect the implementation of these solutions. When considering practical constraint, it is vital. Why it is vital? Because we always have to look for the practical side. And what would be the last step in completing a case study assignment? So we should finalize our report by summarizing our finding, solution, and any conclusion. Then review everything to ensure it's like properly done and all the sources or um, the content like wherever is necessary, it's properly cited and we need to review and finalize our report, and we always like look that it flows logically, it's free from error, and it includes all necessary citation. We need to remember a well-rounded case study not only addresses the problem effectively but also provide clear actionable way forward. Any question up till now? Okay. Then, how would you start analyzing the data you have gathered for your case study? Okay. So, for example, we would organize the data based on the themes or categories related to the problem. Then we would look for any trends or pattern that could explain the issue. And organizing our data will help us in systematically understanding the and addressing the problem. And it's crucial to link our analysis back to the specific issue we have identified earlier. So then we have to develop a solution. Okay. Uh, we need to keep in mind that the solution should be directly based on the findings from our analysis. They should also be realistic, considering the context of the case study. Uh, Feasibility and direct correlation to our finding ensure that our recommendations are credible and applicable. Now, let's talk about the next step, writing your report. What are the key components of the case study report? The report should start up with an introduction and sets up the case study and the problem, then include a background section to provide context. Then the problem statement should clearly outline the main issues, followed by the analysis section, and then our solutions or recommendation. We should always end with a conclusion that summarizes our finding and implication. Each section has its role, and ensuring a logical flow from one section to another help maintain clarity and strengthen our argument. When writing, what style consideration should we keep in mind? We always the report should be clear and concise, and we should avoid jargons unless necessary. And if we use it, explain it. It's also important to keep the keep the like reader or the audience in our mind, and our language should be appropriate for whoever will read the report, like academics or um, industry professional. And writing with your audience in mind, what it does, it enhances the effectiveness of our report. Also, we don't forget to review the guidelines provided by the instructor or the institution. They might specify particular formatting or structural requirements. For example, uh, what I always tell my student that the size should be 12, and make it in Arial. Font style should be Arial. Font size should be 12, and there should be 1.5 line spacing. So if we'll do that, then it will be easier for the reader or the tutor to read, and uh, it looks very good on in the assignment in Word format or in PDF file. So uh, we always need to proofread the work for any grammatical errors and ensure all the citations are correctly formatted according to the guidelines. So in our case, we need to look for the Harvard referencing style. And proofreading is essential to ensure the quality of our work, and that is important. And then, okay, this is about the case study, and this should be in your assignment brief. And Andrew is a 22-year-old man with autism. Look, these bold words, you can say that these are the keywords. So we need to consider these words, and sometime if these words are not highlighted in bold, so we need to find out these important words. For example, uh, this is important. Again, 22-year-old man. For example, if you are writing, if we have to mention the age of Andrew, if we don't read it properly, we will write, for example, 40 years. So it's not correct. So this is important, whatever we need to think in the light of a 22-year-old person. For example, here autism is highlighted in bold. So that is a keyword we need to consider. If we miss that word and we are creating a report on Andrew, then we could have written up something of our own mind, from our own mind. So that is not correct. We have it's mentioned in the assessment criteria that it's the report should be based on Andrew. He's a 22-year-old man with autism. So we always look for the keywords, whether they are highlighted or they are in bold or not. So look, we have here highlighted or the bold words here, residential care. So he received disability living allowance, and his relation with family is difficult. We discussed earlier that we always need to look for the support network. So and here mentioned that couple of years ago he stopped all contact with them. Okay, now he has learning difficulties as well. Although this hasn't been officially diagnosed, there are some issues with his personal hygiene. So we have to look for his personal hygiene issue as well. Then, for example, he has a history of limited engagement with both location services and employment. So now this is related with the learning outcome 2, for example, and here they have mentioned LO1. LO1 means learning outcome 1. LO means learning outcome. So whether we are discussing about LO2, so it's learning outcome 2, this is learning outcome 1, and this is about learning outcome 3 and learning outcome 4. So in each assignment, we have 4 learning outcomes to cover. Then task, okay. Using the case study above, we need to evaluate the extent to which Andrew is at risk and in what way practitioners and agencies should be involved in safeguarding Andrew. This is related with learning outcome 2. we'll always go in a sequence. First, we will answer the learning outcome uh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Basically, like uh, whatever tasks are provided in your assignment brief, we need to follow it in a structure wise. And okay, mm, word count we discussed, it should be about 3,500 words and plus minus 20%. And then we have some useful tips. Read the task correctly. As we discussed that we need to read the uh, task carefully, focus on task and the command verbs, which we already discussed that command verbs we need to check. Uh, Command words you can cover the task by writing these are the command words. For example, explain, define, describe. So we should cover it in 100 to 125 words. Then we have assess, examine, clarify, analyze. We will cover it in 175 to 225 words. Then we have, for example, compare, contrast, critically evaluate. So we should cover them in 250 to 300 words. We always use the same command verbs in the heading. We won't like change it. So always like keep in mind that when you are giving a heading for any task, we will use the exact same command verbs as provided in the assignment brief. Then Harvard referencing. The referencing needs to be Harvard, that is author, date, and style. So here they have given us uh, example. So this is example of in-text citation. So here we have the name, and as we have uh, three people name here. So in in-text citation, if we have up to three authors, then we will write their name. And for example, if we have four or more, then we will use it al. So for example, here in example, we have three people. So and what is the year? It's 2011 is the year. So it's the in-text citation. And the reference towards the end, it will come as shown, and minimum of 6 references, book, journals, article, website have to be included in the bibliography. So not only 6, try to have about 10 references, 10 to 12, that could be more credible. Then give proper heading and subheading. We make your document look presentable and professional. And okay, word limit 3,500, and here it says plus minus 10%. So previously they mentioned that it should be 20%. So I think mm, we will go for the least one. So here we have plus minus of 10%. So usually like in other organizations as well, every institution have different like um, tolerance limit. So usually they have 10%. So we will go for 10 or 20. It's up to you. And the plagiarism or tolerance similarity must be below 20%. Yes, we need to keep in mind that the plagiarism or the similarity should be less than 20%. And no AI. Uh, we always like now the students are using AI to create answer. Please make sure that we don't use it, and it's unethical. And so we will wrap up today's session on how to handle a case study. And there are some important points about your resources and upcoming deadlines. First, we need to remember to utilize the ebook and journals available on Moodle. These resources are tailored to support your learning and deepen your understanding. And for example, again, there are uh, Deadline. Okay. So deadline is important. So it's 2 weeks after the completion of the unit delivery. So we need to complete the assignment after within 2 weeks after the completion of the unit, and we need to make sure that we manage our time effectively over the next 2 weeks will be crucial. Now, about the referencing style for those using UK Versity slide, how should we cite them in our report? So we should cite it as MDT, comma, the year. Here they have mentioned, for example, 2022. So we won't always write 2022 in the text, in text citation, because, for example, if the slide is for the year of 2021, then we'll write 2021. This is just for example. If the slide is made in the year of 2024 current year, so we will use right at the end 2024. And for the bibliography entry, how should it appear? So it should be listed as multidisciplinary team. So what is this? This is the topic of the site. This is the topic, then the learning outcome one. So this is related with the learning outcome one. Then the slide numbers are 2 to 10. Like if you see that we have slides here, uh, 12 slides in this uh, this is not a learning outcome, this is a assignment discussion. So for example, if that's a learning outcome 1, 2, or 3, or 4, any one of it, and it has these number of slides, so we will write it in the bibliography. We'll mention that. And in the end, comma, site number 2 to 10, then UK Versity published on 14 June 2022. Again, they have given us the example of any previous date. For example, if it was published on 14 June 2022, then we will write that date. If it's in published, for example, if you are using today's slide, just for example, so we will write 2024, which is published on the 20th of April 2024. So we need to make sure citations are accurate and formatted correctly. And and for example, where and how do you submit your completed assignment? So we need to submit them via email to learnerwork at ukversity.co.uk, and email your assignment by the due date to ensure they are considered on time. If you encounter any issue or have any questions during your assignment preparation, so we can uh, we should email Raman at ukversity.co.uk with any queries. And for it's very important as a student that uh, to seek help if you are unclear about any part of the assignment or need further clarification in the material. Um, we need to utilize the resources, and asking questions are both vital to our success in this unit. And if you have any question regarding it, then you may ask it. And I will also show you a sample assignment. Sorry, I'm taking a bit longer than the planned class, because it's important. If again, if you have any question, then please ask. It is important. I'll need to show you a sample of assignment as well. This is only a sample and it's for reference only. For example, this is the front sheet. So you will fill out everything properly: your name, tutor name, subject, uh, center, and for example, the unit title, unit code, uh, the indicative word count is up to 3,500 words. Assignment for this unit. So it's one assignment in this unit. Mm, This unit is graded. Okay. So important things to remember that you need to fill out everything properly. Then you have the student declaration. we need to be completed by the student and submission and in confirmation of above declaration. So you need to sign it, the word count. And this section is to be completed by the tutor. And then this section is to be completed by the internal moderator. Then this is the assignment brief. So we have a case study. We discussed the same case study. It's about Andrew, and he is suffering from autism. So now look here, the keywords are not highlighted, or they are not in bold. So we need to look for these keywords which we need to consider when writing our answer. And then we will always use the same uh, command verbs. Tasks are these using the case study above. Evaluate the extent which NDU is at risk and in what way practitioners and agencies should be involved in safeguarding NDU. Uh, can anyone tell me which is the key, which is the command verb here? For example, if we are discussing about this bit specifically, then what is the command verb here?
Evaluate.
Very good. Very, very good. Excellent. So we need to use the same command verb evaluate in the heading, and then we will evaluate it. And for example, for this one, we need to consider uh, the risk and in what way practitioners and agencies should be involved in safeguarding NRU. So we will read the case study, and according to that, we will answer the question. So for example, risk, for risk, we will look for risk related with autism because he is autistic. Then, for example, it's asking be involved practitioner in what way practitioners and agencies. So practitioners and agencies, they are talking about discussing about the multidisciplinary team or the teamwork. So practitioners and agencies, so it's about teamwork. So for example, uh, we will discuss about family, but it mentioned that it's difficult. In a couple of years ago, he stopped all contact with them, and so we need to look for uh, the engagement of the family members or any agencies, or like for example with both location service and history of boldness and employment. He has uh, is known to the police for a range of incidents. So he was either the victim, he has his mobile phone stolen. So we need to look for each and everything in that and ensure that you identify and evaluate the relevant legislation, policy, and guidelines. Okay, so we need to mention the relevant legislation, policies, and guidelines. For example, if we are discussing about Human Rights Act, just for example, so we will mention Human Rights Act 1998. For example, we are talking about the CARE Act. So we'll mention the CARE Act 2014. So the word count is up to 3,500 words. Again, they have mentioned this. Then we have the learning outcomes. So we always need to cover the assessment criteria. So the student should be able to understand how to recognize signs of abuse or harm. So the student has achieved this outcome because she can. So for example, these are the important points. Define three of the following types of abuse. We will consider these we need to discuss about bullying, emotional abuse, financial abuse, institutional abuse. So we have a number of choices here, and from among them, we need to discuss minimum three. So we discussed everything in our previous lectures about bullying, emotional abuse, financial abuse, institutional abuse, neglect by other, psychological abuse. We discussed everything, self-neglect, sexual abuse. So we need to discuss these. Then in the 1.2, we need to identify the signs and symptoms identified with three types of abuse. Just for example, if we need to identify the signs and symptoms. So, for example, if someone is suffering from physical abuse, then what will happen? We can see those signs and symptoms on the body of the service user because it's physical abuse. So, for example, if there is financial abuse, so how we will find out? Um we can check their bank statements and things. We will look for the signs and symptoms may include that they don't have any money for buying any food product or anything like that. So there would be some signs and uh, symptoms which we need to identify. Then what action to take if there is evidence of suspected of actual abuse. So we need to, in 2.1, we need to mention about the actions what we could take. I think we have proper sample answers here. Understanding of the subject, application of knowledge. Okay, we have great descriptions here. Now we have case study and my interpretation. So, like it would be your own interpretation about the case study. So, for example, Andrew is at a high risk of abuse due to his vulnerability, autism, and history of challenging behavior. So, look, we have written here two paragraphs, and then if you remember, we discuss about the involvement of agencies or practitioner and also his family members involvement like a multidisciplinary team or uh, like partnership working. So here we have a table and we have written some of the services like social services, police, health services, housing services. What they do is uh, we have written it here as well, and we discuss about the types of abuse and signs and symptoms. So, like remember I told earlier that there could be different, like there could be signs and symptoms for physical abuse. For example, here they have mentioned that there could be verbal abuse, bullying. So we need to write here in everything in order to pass. Then, Andrew, what what could be the types of abuse that Andrew may experience it, and the associated signs and symptoms. So we need to discuss about these: neglect, physical abuse, emotional abuse, exploitation, then the descriptions and the signs and symptoms. So this is again for your reference, and we have to discuss the legislation, policy, and guidelines. Like I mentioned earlier, that we could mention, for example, Human Rights Act 1998. I mentioned about CARE Act 2014. So here we have few of these legislation mentioned here. Then uh, in order to reduce the possibility of abuse in social care setting. So we discuss about the staff training, recruitment, robust recruitment and selection procedures. We have discussed everything in our past lectures as well. And promoting a culture of openness and accountability. We discussed these principles today as well. Um, so we need to write those, and look in the end we have references. So the references should be in Harvard referencing style. And look, they have, I think, a lot of references. So it should be about minimum 10. And there should be some in-text citations as well. So this is a sample for your assignment. So your assignment should look something like that. And then, for example, are you all familiar with the MyWeb or cite this for me to create or to generate Harvard referencing references or in-text citations? Has anyone of you used these sites to create in-text citation or references? MyWeb.com or uh, cite this for me. Anyone? I'll show how do we use it. So it will,
You can show us again.
okay, I'll show it. So for example, if we have like, okay, now for example, if I have to write about CARE Act, if I'm searching about CARE 2014. So for example, if I have, we have to always find out for any topic, we need to find out the relevant content, which is like a reliable source. So we won't take any information from Wikipedia. Like this one is from Wikipedia. For Wikipedia, anyone can amend it, those who have the authority to amend it. So like sometimes people will add um, any information which is not relevant with the topic or which is not a reliable information. So we won't take any information from Wikipedia. Make sure we won't use Wikipedia in our assignment in giving the in-text citation or references. So I don't recommend to use Wikipedia. We can use this website. This is a proper website, and it's from the government, so it's .gov.uk. So whatever information it has, it is a reliable source of information. So for example, if we are using any information for the CARE Act 2014, so accept the cookies. So for example, this is my content which I have taken from this source, and I have rewritten in my own words. We need to write it in our own words. So what I'll do is to create a in-text citation. I will choose my bib. So look, here I have option of my bib Harvard referencing. So for example, if I'll show you from the beginning, if I'll search for my bib. So this is the website myweb.com. So if I click onto it, then it's selected here Harvard. Look, we have different styles here. APA 6, APA 7, Chicago, Harvard, Harvard, Australia, MLA 8, MLA 9. So we need to use Harvard referencing style. So here we have option for websites, book, journals, videos, and more. So what we are taking the information from is from a website. So we will we are taking information from the website. For example, this is the link. We'll copy it. We'll go to my web again and make sure it's Harvard and it's a website. We will paste the link here and we will search for it. So now it has given us the information that this is related with the CARE Act 2014 by gov.uk. So this is the same website. We have used it to gather the information or the content which we have written in our own words. Make sure that you don't copy paste it. Always like we need to write it in our own words. We need to paraphrase it. We need to write it in our own words. So we will click onto it. Then now here we have the reference and the in-text citation. We'll close this one. For example, if we need to now this is what this complete one is the reference. So if we need to copy the in-text citation, MyBib has different versions. So the version which I have used, it may have like it has shown us the reference list here, and sometime it gives us the reference and the in-text citation here at the bottom as well. So we will we'll copy the in-text citation and paste it in our work and Word file. Or for example, we will in this case, if we are using this version, if we have used this version, then we'll go to show options. Then we have copy bibliography entry and copy in-text citation. For example, if I'll copy the in-text citation, look, this is the in-text citation here, gov.uk, and in bracket we have the year. So for example, if I have to copy the in-text citation, I have copied it. For example, if I'm opening a notepad, but we'll do it in Microsoft Word. For example, if I have to copy the in-text citation, so it would be like this. And now if I have to copy the bibliography entry or the reference, then I have copied it and I'll go again to my work. So the references in Harvard style, it would be always in the we should have a page for references, and then we'll paste it here. And these in Harvard style, it should be in alphabetical order. So for example, if we have any reference which is from A, then it should be here, then B, C, D, then we will go for G. So Harvard referencing is always in alphabetical order. So we need to keep this in mind. And this is how we do the in-text citation and the referencing. So, any questions, student?
No, thank you.
No problem, no problem. So make sure like if you need any help or assistance, get in contact with the management and mm, like best of luck for to all of you for your assignments. And trust me, like it looks difficult in the beginning, and if you understand the main bits, like we gather the information, we have to rewrite it in our words, and then we need to do the in-text citation and reference. And like please don't use any AI, because we will like get caught by this, and like it would be a problem for you. So make sure we will rewrite the content in our own words. We can use the resources available on the Moodle. We can use books, journal, article, slides, everything we can use, but make sure that we give the in-text citation and reference. So this is all for today, and Best of luck to you all. And I'm sorry again, I have to take like half an hour of your extra because I thought that all the points are important to for your understanding.
Bye.
Bye. Take care, everyone. Bye. Bye.